Now, this is for you if you suffer from back pain. Then sit towards the front of a chair, preferably a chair that hasn't got wheels like the one that I'm sitting on. Um, uncross your legs, so both feet are on the floor, and just sit here for a moment. Close your eyes if that feels okay, and just start to notice your sit bones. Do you tend to have more weight in your one sit bone compared to the other, right compared to your left? Do you tend to lean over onto one side more, or maybe the weight is more forward or more back? So you're not trying to correct anything at all. You're just being aware and just noticing. Now, I'm going to look over my left shoulder. So if you can do that, then that's fine. If you'd rather go for your right shoulder, you can do that. So I'm just going to look over the left shoulder and then come back. And just noticing how far, without forcing anything, without any stress or strain, just looking. There's a little bit restricted, a little bit of clicking going on. Okay, so I've chosen my left shoulder. So my right hand is going to go on my left shoulder there. So it's just resting there. And my left hand is going to hold onto my right elbow. It's just my right elbow is just resting in my left hand, as if it's just cupping it slightly, like that. There's no forcing it or anything, it's just resting there. So I'm just going to do that again. So I'm going to come over my left shoulder, but I'm going to turn my body this time and then come back. Looking over my left shoulder. So I can use my left hand to gently guide my right elbow around and then come back. So notice as you do this movement, can you feel a shifting of weight in your feet? Maybe you start to feel the weight more into the right foot. And notice a shifting of weight in your sit bones. Maybe you'll notice you might be leaning slightly, or your sit bones might feel heavier on one side than the other. So next time you turn, you're going to stay there. Okay, so you're going to turn and stay there. And you're going to look further towards the left with your head, not with your body, just with your head. And then you bring your head back to the center, back to the way, not to the waterfront, but back to where you were. And turn it again to the left. And slightly back again and to the left. And back. The body stays turned to the left. Then bring everything back to the middle. Rest for a moment. Notice your feet and your sit bones. Okay, so bring that right hand back onto your left shoulder, your left hand just resting underneath your right elbow. Turn again towards the left side and come back. I don't know about you, but I feel there's more movement on my right side now. I feel freer into my right ribs, as if I can turn more, but with less effort. And then come back. Let everything go for a moment. And do the first movement that we did, where we didn't do anything at all with the body, just turn the head. Can you turn a little bit more now? Do you notice, is it more, is it smoother? Do you feel freer? Okay, so close your eyes. Now, rather than doing all of this on the right-hand side, I'm going to imagine, okay? So my feet on the floor, hands resting in my lap, and I'm going to imagine that I'm turning my head to the right and then bringing it back to the middle. I'm just imagining turning my head and then bringing it back. That's all I'm doing. And I'm going to imagine that my left hand is resting on my right shoulder and my right hand is cupping my left elbow. Then I'm going to imagine that I'm turning to my right side, the head and the body, and then bringing it back to the middle, just in my imagination. Resting my breath, making sure I'm not holding it, relaxing my jaw, noticing the length of my spine, imagining that every time I turn, I feel that I'm getting taller. And then imagining that the next time that I turn, I'm going to stay there and my head turns to the right a bit more and then comes back, not all the way back to the front, but back to the center. And it goes back to the right again, as if I'm looking further over my right shoulder, and then back to the middle, and again to the right, and back to the middle. Just noticing what I notice as I turn my head with the least amount of effort. And then coming back to the middle, pausing for a moment. Now I'm just going to imagine that I'm turning my head to the right again and back to the middle, and noticing back to the front here and noticing what I notice in my imagination. And I'm going to open my eyes and I'm actually going to turn to the right. Oh, nice. And turn to my left. And everything feels very open and free on this side. Let's see what happens if I put my left hand on my shoulder and my right hand underneath the elbow. Lovely. So have a practice, have a little work through that until you feel you could do it without really looking at the screen, but just listening to my voice. You get to feel this freedom of movement in turning. So we start to use the rib cage, the shoulders, the neck, breath, the eyes, integrating all of it so you don't feel that your back feels so creaky when you turn. So if you're turning to reverse the car, or you're turning to put the bins out, or you're just turning to look behind you when you're crossing the road, or if you're sitting in the office doing some work and someone says something behind you and you're turning, you don't feel this ouchiness in your spine. You're bringing in all of your systems to help your back feel less painful. Happy practicing. But also just wanted to say that it shows you how strong and powerful doing these movements is in your imagination. If you've never done anything with your imagination before in movement like this, then it's kind of introducing it to you that if you feel that there's a day when your back's too painful, or you feel you're too busy or too stressed, or you just don't feel like doing any exercise, you can do something like this in your imagination, and it would really help free up your spine.